I'm your host, Ryder Todd Smith, and today we're joined by John Shull, Chief Executive Officer of the California Joint Powers Insurance Authority, popularly known as California JPIA, or as John really loves, the Authority. John, welcome to the report.
Thank you, Ryder. Pleasure to be here.
Great to have you back. Two-time guest on the report. Good times.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, let's remind the audience. What the heck is the California Joint Powers? What is the Authority, John?
The Authority is a self-insurance pool primarily for cities and other local agencies providing municipal-like services. So cities throughout Southern California that banded together to, instead of buying insurance, they self-insure together, and we manage the funds, we manage the claims, liability, property, workers' comp, all that sort of stuff.
Why was it created in the first place?
Well, the insurance industry in the mid-'70s turned away from local government. There was, we refer to it as the insurance crisis of the mid-'70s. It was costing as much to buy insurance as the coverage you were actually getting. So these cities decided that it'd be better to, instead of paying somebody's profit and shareholder dividends, let's just keep the money among ourselves. And so they created the California JPIA.
And thus it was born.
Yes, it was born 1978, first day of coverage, April 1.
And tell me about growth, particularly over the last 10 years. What's been going on with the development of the Authority and your time as CEO, which you've been the CEO now for a chunk of time. How long have you been there, John?
I've been at the Authority for 28 years and CEO for 21 of those years. So, yeah, when I started with the Authority, we had 74 members. And we've had a pretty steady growth, a little bit at a time. We're come July 1, we'll be at 126 members. And excitedly, for the first time, we're going to have over 100 cities as members, cities and towns as members. So kind of a milestone event for us to get over that 100, so which is, more than a fifth of the cities in the state. So that's pretty good.
So, John, you're now over 100 cities. As you described, over the time, you've had slow and consistent steady growth in the Authority. So that slow and consistent steady growth, which I think is what everybody wants to see in their financial institution, their insurer, right? They don't want anything that's a big lurch one way or the other. That's healthy. That's a nice, healthy, organic growth base. And to your point, it's over 20% of the cities in California that are members of the Authority. So that must give the Authority some pretty good insights into what's going on in the world of local government and risk management.
It really does. It's an interesting experience to spend as much time with these city leaders and city executives and understand where they're coming from. And sometimes we see things in one city that we then see in another city sometime down the road. We've become a pretty good resource for our members, and as they approach challenging situations or just interesting predicaments that we can say, oh yeah, we've seen that. Here's what this city did or that city did. Much of our staff has actually come out of local government. I mean, I worked for three cities that are now members in my before I came to the JPIA, and probably about half our staff has worked for cities in one form or another.
Well, I can testify and agree to the point that when you have a bunch of cities under the roof that you're working with, those lessons cross over very quickly and give you some immense dynamics and insights into the market that prove very helpful for you. But this massive trajectory of growth, steady trajectory of growth under your tenure, decades of tenure, is, as has been announced, coming to an end. Isn't that correct? You're heading towards the hillsides of retirement, John?
I am. I'm literally looking forward to sailing into the future. I have a sailboat that's been sitting in the water for way too long with nobody sitting on it. So I'm looking forward to getting that cleaned up and get out in the water. So, yeah, I ended up, my last day is June 30th. So it's about that time.
So you're going to end the fiscal year as the outgoing CEO of the Authority.
Yes.
What's been one of your favorite projects you've gotten the pleasure or initiative you've gotten to work on over your long tenure at the Authority? And congratulations on your retirement, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I think there's been a few things that were really monumental in my mind as to things that have been accomplished in the time I've been here. I think the most notable is, if you've ever been on our campus, it's the fact that my predecessor and I got to design with, of course, our architects, what our campus would look like and how we would serve the members. And members can come and use it, so that's something important as well. But just the construction of this project, allowing for the huge training space and meeting space, and obviously offices for the employees, that was a big task, and something we're very proud of. And it's been open for over almost 25 years now, and it's just continues to be in great condition because of the maintenance that's done with it, and that's Chris on our staff that really keeps the place in great shape. One of the things that I'm really excited about right now is we finally have acquired the property on the corner that our campus has surrounded for the last 25 years, and we are beginning to construct a safety video production studio and additional office space. So it's going to look just like the existing campus and fully integrated into the environment there. So really excited about that upcoming project.
Well, I think it is a beautiful facility, and you use the word campus, which I think is completely apropos for what has been designed there. And it does strike me that when you're an institution of local government that's going to be around for decades or centuries, hopefully, that having your own physical space locked down to support your team and staff, to be there as a resource for your members is really just, it's kind of a putting down the marker of your commitment to the future of local government and the future of the member agencies that have chosen to join up with the authority. So, and that's exciting. You're building a new studio, because I know you guys have produced a ton of video content. You did it before COVID, but during COVID, you also switched to all virtual forums as you adapted like so many organizations. And now you're going to be converting that into a dedicated studio, I assume, to sustain the video production work?
Exactly. Yeah, we've been doing video production for probably a decade. Particularly, it picked up during the pandemic, and we used our large training room as a temporary studio with a big green screen and all that sort of stuff. And now that we're back in person, we were finding ourselves putting it up and taking it down, putting it up and taking it down. So it really led to the discussion of having our own space instead of having to lease space or rent space, and just being able to make it our studio and being able to use it the way we need to, and really something we're excited about.
Yeah, that's going to be that'll be phenomenal. What's the time on when do you think that's going to be constructed?
Well, we're expecting to break ground in the next month. We've got designs with the city, and all the structural stuff's happening right now. So we're getting some tenants out of the building. We have one tenant left, and they're supposed to be out by the end of the month. And then we're going to take away the parking lot, and they won't be able to come anyhow. So we're looking forward to getting it going, and probably within 6 to 7 months we'll have it done.
That's exciting. So, John, remind our audience again, how many years have you been with the authority?
28 years.
And as of right now, are you the longest serving employee of the organization?
I might be, actually.
Okay. And so are you responsible for nearly everybody else being there in terms of having hired them? Was that under your decision?
Yes.
Or
I have actually hired everybody that works there right now.
So that's quite a thumbprint, John.
Yes. We jokingly number one another. So I'm 1 and Edith is 2, and then it goes down the line. So it's a couple of weeks and she'll be number 1. So
yeah, I know. Nobody's more excited about your retirement than her.
Right.
So as a fellow executive who has not, I've been at Tripepi Smith, well, I guess for 23 years technically, but really in its iteration it is today for about 15. And of course, I've had my hand in hiring every person that's here as well, in conjunction with my business partner and wife. That's a significant role to play in creating that entity, creating that organization. Tell me about that. What's it like being a leader and reflecting in an organization that, essentially has your giant thumbprint across the entire organization?
Well, the saying, hire good people and get out of their way. And that's truly what I have tried to do we have a very comprehensive or challenging, depending on your perspective, recruitment process. Truly, it takes months to get someone hired, but once they're hired, they are a good fit. They understand they have the same values. They understand the culture. Our first value is integrity, like so many organizations. Integrity, excellence, innovation, and teamwork. Those are our 4 core values, and we really live by those. And it's something that, as the organizational leader, I try to demonstrate it and display it at all times. And I think, for the most part, all of our employees do the same. And it's just an important part of who we are and the way we operate and serve the members.
I always, when I was a smaller firm, I didn't have time to think about culture. I was just trying to figure out how to rub 2 pennies together and build a business. But as we got more mature, the idea of culture in the organization became much more clear to me as a value add. And now it's something I contemplate and talk about daily from my perch here at the firm. And one of the kind of isms or rules I've noted to myself that I've adopted is culture is the management that happens when management isn't around, right? It's how people govern themselves and lead by certain cultural norms in the organizations or live by them so that teammates know how to interact with each other and what they can expect from each other and they can deliver. So strong culture, for every organization, cities, yours as a public agency, a joint powers authority, private companies, all of us, football teams, culture matters, man. It matters big time. So what's been your experience inculcating that? I mean, clearly you get the hire, so you're looking for it. Do you think it's all down to your recruiting process, or, is there a weekly process to affirming the culture?
I think it's not really all of it down to the recruitment process. It is the day in and day out, how we work together and what we do together. I think the most important thing, and I'm sure it's the same in your organization, is trust. We trust one another. We trust we're going to do our jobs. I mean, we set high expectations. We have high expectations for ourselves, for one another. We hold each other accountable. We are pretty flat organization between myself and there's 3 layers, if that, to the person who's lowest in the organization, if you will.
Right.
And so it's truly about how we work together. We have a lot of fun. We do a lot of things where we'll get together and just enjoy one another's company. We had a staff meeting on Monday, and Monday night it was like, well, let's all just get together and enjoy some time together. And we did, and we just sat around one of the rooms for about 3 hours, chatting and telling stories and carrying on. A lot of our employees during the pandemic moved away. So being able to come back and have that face-to-face time, and truly, I mean, you do it because of, you're always virtual, but we've got some folks that moved out of state and now they're, on campus this week. So we're really ensuring that they're integrating and we're all engaging with one another. And it was just a great experience. But that kind of thing, we do a kickoff, summer kickoff barbecue that, I come cook tri-tip and just have an enjoyable time together. So a lot of it is the fun, but we also realize that there is work to be done, but we work better together when we enjoy each other's company. And that's so much of I think the success that we've had within this space.
It does help when your coworkers actually enjoy each other. So I can appreciate your comments about the fact that they actually want to hang out together and get to know each other. Wall Street Journal just had a whole article about can coworkers be friends, and the efforts that organizations are making to try to create community, especially for those that are living in a hybrid or entirely virtual environment. And obviously very intriguing to me as a 100% virtual work environment too.
Right.
So that's great to hear. And I assume you then, as a result, I mean, you must have pretty long tenure with your staff. Clearly you're an example of that. That's a heck of a tenure on your part. But your number 2, how long is it Edith? How long has Edith been with the organization?
I think Edith has been here, I think she just got 25 years, or at least 20. And we just, this month, Carl's getting 20. So Rajna just did 20. So yeah, we got, it's a lot of longevity.
That is.
Rarely do we have someone leave, unless they should be successful elsewhere, as you know. Sometimes that recruitment process doesn't work perfectly.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. It's okay. Everybody's meant to be somewhere. I always view it as just very similar to college admissions. It's takes two to tango and make it work. And sometimes you get it right, and sometimes people drop out and transfer to a different college. It happens.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, let's talk about that tenure. Your tenure is coming to an end. Who's the new CEO, and tell me about him.
So Alex Smith is currently the Deputy Executive Officer, and Alex has been with us for, I think, 14 years. Came in as our finance director. Just a really smart guy. Has a big picture, a really capable ability of understanding a variety of different concepts and how they work together. Good rapport with the staff, good rapport with the members. A little bit different than me because, I grew up in the city manager's office before I came to the authority. And so I spent a lot of time with elected officials. I think probably the thing that I've been trying to do most with Alex has been to expose him to elected officials and executives within the member agencies. So he has a greater level of comfort with that environment, and that they have a comfort with him. And I think that has definitely proven to be the case. I mean, the executive committee loves him, and he works very well with them. He's a way better presenter than I am for some of the technical things that we do. And he certainly understands some of the things better than I do, which is, again, hire good people and stay out of their way. He's created some wonderful things over the last few years that our members are benefiting from: the excess liability program, excess workers' comp program, our captive insurance company. I got a lot of credit for these things because I got to give the speeches during the board of directors meeting, but Alex is really the laboring oar behind these projects, and it's just example of his capability and the quality of work that he does.
Well, it's very authority-esque that, given your long-term planning work that you do and big, long-term perspective you have, that a incumbent 14-year employee would ascend to the CEO job, right? So that kind of consistency, I think, is important to members and important to the organizational culture. And, I suspect part of the reason he was selected is he was viewed as being able to sustain the excellence that is the authority, which is exciting. And if somebody breaks ranks, am I correct in recalling that he's also a former Marine?
That is correct.
John, do you have kind of any parting thoughts as you reflect back? You're now unleashed. You're about to end your term. You can speak freely and not suffer major consequences at this point. Do you have you want to call some names out or anything like that? What's your swan song here?
Well, I think I'm kind of doing the last one of these meetings. I went to the last Contract Cities conference. Today I had my last liability trust fund meeting. So I'm kind of on that last of these things. But there are certainly things that I'm going to miss, particularly the people, the relationships, the things that have been developed over these many years in local government. Mark Alexander from La Cañada Flintridge, who also just retired, he and I were reflecting a few months ago when I announced I was going to retire that, yeah, it looks like our wave has finally ended because, we were in MMASC together 35 years ago, doing things together. So, it's been a great career. I feel like what I have been able to do at the authority has been reflective of my training in public administration, my education, being able to do something that's still city, but it's focused on risk management. I think, if there's a legacy at the authority, I think it's the idea that we went from being sort of a claims management organization to a risk management organization, focusing on preventing the claims, because that's way cheaper for everybody, economically, personally, psychologically, to just not have the claims in the first place. And training is such an important part of what we do. And then providing those risk management resources. When I started, it was all about just managing the claims, and having had the opportunity to build a risk management organization has been really an exciting thing for me. And if I was to say, if there's one thing I wanted to be most proud of. It's that, and the impact that our organization has had on many other organizations within our pool. And I think to some degree, I mean, we've been involved with some of the other associations, the California Association of Joint Powers Authorities and the Association of Governmental Risk Pools, which is the national pooling association. And we've been actively involved in leadership in those organizations. And so some of the things that we've been doing have been able to be reflected in other organizations. So it's been really fun. I've enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to doing other things that are fun. And I'll be around. I'm not changing my phone number, so if I can be reached, I'll be available.
First of all, you packed a lot into that, but I would just observe that the movement to being a risk management organization from a claims administrator is a massive shift, right? And that takes people, resources, and investment. But in my survey of the risk management world and local government in California, there's really, and obviously I have, you and I work together outside of doing this podcast, so I have certain biases, but fundamentally, I think the authority is known as being a risk management organization that leads best practices and really tries to educate its members to avoid the risk in the first place. And that's a huge differentiator in the market for what you guys do and how you approach it. And it's important for people to, I think, understand and appreciate that. It'll be a great legacy, aside from the incredible team you're going to leave behind, a great legacy going into long into the future about where the authority is today and where it's going to be tomorrow. So that's exciting, John. If people want to learn more about the authority, how do they learn more about the authority?
Well, probably the easiest way is to look us up online at cjpia.org, or you can actually go californiajpia.org, which is my preferred, as you know.
Yes.
Or you can call our phone number. It's just 562-467-8700. But just Google us. You'll find us, usually at the top of the list.
Well, John, congratulations on a very successful career at the authority and for making a difference in local government and building up those relationships over decades of service and your entire career service, which includes the city government world. It's exciting times and change. I think folks are looking forward to Alex in his service as CEO and very appreciative of your service as CEO for decades now. And with that, it's today's report. My thanks to John for joining us for the conversation, and from the whole PublicCEO team and myself, Ryder Todd Smith, thank you for your time. We hope you learned something new and inspiring that will help you in your public service. Remember, PublicCEO has a daily newsletter that is free to those who sign up at PublicCEO.com. If you have feedback, questions, or guest suggestions for PublicCEO Report, please email editor@PublicCEO.com.